G'day, g'day, g'day. Mathematical KM here. Remember their initials, not a title. It's Keith Molumby. Doeberl Cup, under 1200, Australian ratings division. Everybody's above 1400 or more in the FIDE. But my round one, you're looking at it. That was me cooking salmon on that barbie, and we had our Good Friday barbecue. And I had permission to be in this chess tournament from She Who Must Be Obeyed, so long as I took a predetermined buy, for which I got a half point in round one. So that's round one out of the way. Okay, let's get into the chess. And let's see, initially I'm playing Gorantler, rated, this is FIDE ratings, 1477 to my 1464, so on a par. She's slightly higher. I believe it may be the other way around in the Australian ratings, but really neither here nor there. So this is the first 6 games in 2 days style of a tournament that I've taken the old water horse into. So let's see how we go. Okay, she's claimed the centre. Standard moves. Nice to see that. We don't want to see a 3-pawn centre on the king side. We know how to handle it, but this is going to be more of your standard hippo is what I'm thinking. Fianchetto, 2-pawn centre. She's got both the pawns out. D-pawn, standard a la Solomon, and not the initial double fianchetto like Eric Hansen or Hikaru. Bishop comes out. We've got our 2 pawns in the middle. That's always an interesting one. Not sure how much Solomon covered that in the course with the pawn backing up the pawn, the D-pawn. But we're just going with our usual stuff, fianchettoing the B-pawn there. And that's where the other knight had to go, given that C3 was taken. I decided to go with the A-pawn before the fianchetto. That's interesting, her A-pawn coming down the pitch. Now, for now, the B5 move, in a Legoing move, is still available, but pretty much only because her C-pawn is on 3, not 4. So a fianchetto, we're approaching getting our standard hippo set up. Not sure about that move for her. It's developing. It allows castling. Remember that, allows castling. Just you'll see. So anyway, let's go into the next move. We're getting there. What's white going to do? Oh, okay, so we're getting a little bit of a pawn storm on the queen side. I mean, the C-pawn's back one, but it's sort of like 5 pawns coming flying down. So that's a bit of an unusual situation. And what should the hippo player at this stage do about it? Now, in general terms, I know that in Solomon's hippo course, and I'll be putting the link in the description, that largely for the 3-pawn centre on the queen side, you can still just play the hippo. And that won't hurt, getting that knight in there. All eyes are on what white's doing. Getting the queen over there as well. It is going to be a big battle on the queen side. But for now, get the knight in there. And I'm probably going to take a photo of this at some point and just ask Solomon what he thinks about this breather moment. Now it's interesting the different, and for those of you new to my channel, breather moment is when you've got the full thick-skinned hippo, a la like this, and that's when you look at what's in front of you from white, and pretty much you're picking between, not that you normally pick the middle two, Whoops, and that's a bit further than it should be. But between 6 pawn breaks and 2 knights flying around. So you've got 8 standard choices to go between based on what you see in front of you. And typically you look at each of the pawns, whether they've got major pieces behind them, neither of them do in this case, and how well protected they are. This pawn, the E pawn, is protected by a knight and a queen. So it's 2 pieces, so that sort of thing is an option. This one we tend to only do if it comes with tempo. This pawn is protected by 1, 2, and a pawn is the best type of protector, 3 pawns. And that's already a bad idea with extra pawns looking after it. So in many ways, we like going after the E pawn more than the D pawn. But when we've had the slam of that A pawn coming that far, the traditional normal response is the B pawn sliding forward, which is what I played. Okay, so now what is white up to? Well, now it really is the 5 pawn centre with the A pawn having come forward. And it's at this point in time, it's quite interesting. And this is how we had to sit and think, what happens if and you've got a couple of choices. Obviously taking is a choice, and then white could come forward, and I suppose I'd be taking as well. And then maybe the bishop would come in. I'd have lost both pawns. White would still have this pawn. After this video I might take a look at that line. But what I was thinking was, for right now, the B pawn is a bit of a weakness. And notice that F5 is second best, which is another thing. When there's 3 or more pawn centre, I know that Solomon's advice is to attack the middle pawn, which is on an edge, and that's F5. So F5 was a standard move that I knew about in terms of theory. That thinking about that it was all really going to explode, but it felt bad in how white was definitely ending up with the A pawn and maybe with a bishop in here pinning something to my king. And I jumped a little, but not too much. So it wasn't the world's worst move. I thought, let's get the C pawn up there, and we're threatening that, they're threatening that. If they take my C pawn, I've got a pawn and a knight backing it up. She's actually got 3, but it's all going to go a little crazy in there. If I had this one again, I think maybe I would go with what I've been taught by the Solomon's course with the link here and play the F pawn. But anyway, so I've really made it more of an argument in there with those 2 pawns. She's ignored the pawn I've put forward and taken my B pawn. I've taken back. Oh, now she takes my Charlie pawn. I take back. Now she takes my B pawn. All the pawns are just evaporating. And I think I end up down a pawn with that C pawn going forward. But I was kind of hoping that I could get my king safe and maybe stop hers from getting safe. So run to safety and get rid of the pin on the knight. So the knight's now available for taking back. Not anymore, the knight is dead. And you'll see the rating's just gone to 0.6 to me. And mostly we will see, and I didn't play it on this move, but it's not like she's not going to castle with a queen at risk, but right now, and I've played it, my king's safe, her king can't castle, and there's all of her pawns were so far advanced, it's going to be hard for white to be able to arrange to be able to castle, and in a way that rook's not going to take too much part in the rest of this game. So let's see how we go. What are we looking at? She's got a queen threatening a knight, but the knight's well covered by my queen. If I can get... I've got a sniff of back rank thoughts with moves like that. I mean, I know it's currently covered by that rook, but that king is liable to die to a back rank checkmate. And moving that rook away, I mean, sure, it's still covered by the queen, but until seconds ago it was covered by a rook and a queen. But, and we'll see the result of this game in the end, but with that beautiful bishop, and I was just thinking about that's great for letting me work on that back rank, but the suggested move here of queen here, how does she stop queen to here? I mean, or if she moves the knight away to stop queen to here, then the queen can... Oh, not quite, but it's certainly a really threatening place for my queen to be. But I didn't play that. I decided that I was going to try and get rid of that knight and or the bishop. And if I can get a pawn here that's protected, then at the moment the bishop's just gone. And now I'm threatening that. Now she's got to give that bishop somewhere to go. And she's noticed that, but it's up to 5.8. She did have to give the bishop somewhere to go. But now she's even further from castling, and that rook's even less likely to do anything. So let's make that bishop move. It moves. And bringing my knight forward. The knight wasn't doing too much there. But I'm thinking, can I bring this knight into the attack? And that's interesting, because when you're moving knights and you're thinking about knights... Anyway, if I was to take the pawn which is free, I would lose my queen. So for now, the knight has to stay there. But let's threaten a check. Yeah, it's coverable with the rook moving back. She's brought a rook over so it can come back being protected by the bishop and be a bit more of a cover there. And it's also threatening with the queen, the knight. I mean, the knight is covered by two pieces as well. But let's make this other knight move. The knight that was one of the pieces covering the bishop. And it can't go here or here or here. or here. It can go back there. That'd be funny. Knight, knight, rook back there. But that's the only move that feels a little bit like it's forwards. And that's taking another piece away from where the fight is. So away it goes. And I was thinking, let's get the queen away from protecting that pawn. This movie could be called d4. You think you're safe. d4 was being protected, I think, by a couple of knights and a queen, but it's all the protection's gone. So now we can take the d4. We're threatening the rook with the knight. So the knight trades off for another rook. And it's at this point that a sneaky little plan, take the f-pawn, was the sidekick suggestion to my opponent. I was more fully expecting the queen to come to d6 and to have the game go on from there. And I think queen d6, knight c2 check. It was going to be to my advantage. But that, talk about a poison pawn. Initially you might think, oh look, it's a fork on the queen, but more than a fork on the queen. The queen covers all of this, the knight covers the king and the bishop, and the pawn is in the way of the king. So a nice little mating grid there. So that was my round one, actually round two of the tournament, and score one for the Water Horse. So I'll see you in the next one.